Climate for Exchange. This is a fast-cutting documentary-style film exploring the NUK Foto Project 2022. The film is set in Harstad, a coastal town in the far north of Norway. It is a dramatic landscape with mountains and ocean. The establishing shots feature boats, rolling green hills, and some urban scenes. Visually, the film switches between to-camera interviews, on-site landscapes, and the project participants carrying out their photography assignments. Footage of festival activities from Festpillene, such as street performances and music concerts, also feature. Photographs taken by the participants are shown on screen at points. Full alt text for all images are available on the project website. In this first section, we hear from Aidan Moesby, a white man in his 50s who has a white beard and wears glasses. We also hear from Pål Henrik, who is a white man in his 30s with short hair and glasses.
Here we are, 26 degrees above the Arctic Circle, and it's 26 degrees C. We're roasting here. The snow's on the hills melting. This is climate change in action. This is part of the reason why we're where we are, doing what we're doing. I'm Aidan Moesby, and I'm here in Harstad doing an international collaboration project funded by the British Council. My role in the project is as a disabled artist.
My name is Pål Henrik Ekern, and I work for the National Museum of Photography in Norway called Preus Museum, where my job title is Diversity Curator. So NUK is an inclusive arts festival during the Arctic Arts Festival in Harstad in northern Norway. And during the festival week, there's multiple workshops being arranged for a diverse group of teenagers and disabled participants. So what we do during NUK is we hold a week-long workshop based around various photography tasks, and the work is also collected and exhibited towards the end of the week.
Trastad Outsider Art Museum. In this chapter, the group visit Trastad, a museum and outsider art gallery housed in a former residential home for disabled people. It features beds, medical equipment, mobility aids, and even a straitjacket. There is also a modern art gallery with outsider art on the walls, and a storeroom with thousands of pieces of pottery and sculpture. In this section, we hear from Silje, a white woman in her early 30s with long brown hair, and from Aidan again.
My name is Silje. I'm a museum educator here at Trastad Samlinger Museum. So we are currently at Pavilion 7, a building from 1966. This used to be part of the Central Institution for People with Disabilities. Today I've taken the group on a tour of the museum. We have a complete, authentic part of the institution. And I've been telling them about the story of this place, why it came to be, and how life at the institution was, basically. You know, they sent people here from all over northern Norway. They had to leave their homes and came here basically to live the rest of their lives. They might not have realized it yet, but some of the people who are in our group this week would have been the people who were sent here. At most, this institution had almost 400 habitants. They gave them classes in arts and crafts and realized that some of the habitants were quite good at making art, basically. During the years, they kept making art, they kept making exhibitions showing the art off, and today the art collection of our museum comes from that. And we have 26,000 pieces of art made by the habitants. We've also added quite a lot of outsider art from around all of Norway and also internationally the past years, so it's grown to be quite a large collection.
So on our way here we collected some natural materials, things we found on the beach. The young people made designs on their papers, exposed them to the sun, and then we washed and fixed them. And cyanotype is that amazing blue colour. The group that we're working with, there's some disabled people, there's some non-disabled people. We're additionally working with some Ukrainian refugees living in the north of Norway. So that's bringing a very mixed group with a mixed experience around like barriers and access and inclusion all into the project. What better place to be than somewhere like Trastad, which has its history, which, you know, was very alive, and now it's into a museum. So it's important to have that kind of context as we think about how to work better moving forward.
Nature Walk. In this section we see the group on a walk through an industrial docklands replete with graffiti. There's shots of greenery and an extended section on a pebble beach. Participant photographs showing plastic bottles, rope and shells also feature.
So today was all about how man and nature relate to each other, how one impacts and affects the other. So we went for a walk to the beach, and along the way each of the young people had chosen a colour to focus upon and took photos of that colour and varying shades of it. And then when we got to the beach, we kind of began to explore time, short time scale, such as living organisms, shells, trees, that kind of thing, through to the much more kind of geologic time. And some of that also included how man had impacted the beach, so there was like rope on the beach from maybe fishing or a plastic bottle.
Discussion and selection. We open with the group in a classroom discussing printed out photographs that they've taken. We then move to an old shop unit, which will be the site for the exhibition. The participants are seen hanging printouts of their work on the walls. We hear again from Aidan.
We got back to the classroom, so each of the participants had 5 photos, and we asked them to rank them in order of 1 to 5, and then also give it a title. And they all had really good photos, and then also they really thought about the titles. And then we came to this gallery. They hung their work, and then we looked at the way that they'd hung their work, and they'd all hung it individually, and then I asked them to rehang it, and then you can see the results of one of them behind me, that they'd really thought about how the work sit together. It was clear that they had kind of got an understanding of how images work, and then also how things might look in the gallery together. Pål Henrik put the exhibition up with the photos printed at a much larger scale. We came across to the gallery and everybody got to see it for the first time, and yeah, the young people were really excited to see their images on the wall in a completely different context, like in a proper nice exhibition space. The result is just so good and the work is so strong and everybody's contributed.
Exhibition opening. We see the full-size printed photographs work in situ and members of the public walking around enjoying the exhibition. We hear from Pål within the space about his curation. We also hear from a selection of the participants. Isabel, a Norwegian teenager with long brown hair. Pavlo, a Ukrainian teenager with short brown hair. Frederick, a visually impaired Norwegian man in his 30s. Dasha, a Ukrainian teenage girl with long brown hair. Aidan, a Ukrainian teenage boy with shoulder-length hair. And Emma, a Norwegian teenage girl with blonde hair.
For the photos and the way we've set it up is we've tried to kind of mix all the participants together as one group. And in some instances it can be the fact that it's a color linking the images together. But the narrative kind of shifts as you walk around the exhibition, and we've tried to kind of divide it into happy zones and zones that are a bit more serious thematically. But I think it's the mix between the joy and the very serious subject matters in this exhibition that makes it work. The fact that half of it is about happiness and friendship and just swimming in the lake, whereas underneath the surface there is anxiety and there is trauma. And I think it becomes very strong because it has both those aspects.
My name is Isabel Fredheim. I'm from Kirkenes. I love taking pictures. My favorite photo has to be, it's called a fireball. It's fun because no one knows what it is. Only me. That's pretty cool.
Pavlo Balashov from Lviv, Ukraine. That's my Ukrainian friends on a FaceTime with me. So that's memories. They are celebrate a birthday of my brother together, so they called me to celebrate with them.
My name is Frederick. I am from Harstad in Norway. I have found so many friends, and I have also had many photos with them, and I have a very enjoyable time.
My name is Dasha. We're from Mariupol.
Моє ім'я Женя. Я из Украины.
Не буду про Кристину.
Замечательно.
Perfect week. The best week on her life. It's very interesting to watch how people react of photos. They watch moments of our life, and it's very cool.
My name is Emma and I'm from Kirkenes. I've learned through photo how to analyze a picture with the contrast between the colors and when you focus or unfocus on a picture. It is called perspective because you see like my perspective, I see all this, and you also see the reflection of me.
Project Legacy. We open with Aidan outside Trastad Museum, with greenery and sea in the background. We see the inside of this large museum space where the exhibition is being installed for the second time.
We're at Trastad Museum, part of the Troms Museums, which also includes Trastad. We took the project down, which we had installed in the centre of town in Harstad, and we've brought it out to Trastad, and we've reinstalled it where it will sit for several more weeks so that it gets a longer exposure and that it also ties in with the cultural life of the city. All the work is going to be archived and acquisitioned, so that there's real meaning behind the work that everybody does, and that's like, for me, that's really important, that it's not just gestural, that there's a real intent and a follow through. We're also here from the UK to work in a collaborative way with NUK and to talk around inclusion and diversity and disability. So there's also been those conversations going on, and that's like incredibly exciting.
Reflections. Aidan, Pål and Silje stand against the exhibition at Trastad Museum. This is interspersed with footage of the participants working together and in a celebratory mood. A slideshow of photographs plays towards the end of the film. The film ends with the entire group assembled on the pebble beach from earlier, posing for a photo.
Well, I have two highlights. One was going to Trastad and seeing the Outsider Art Museum, and then also doing the cyanotypes and how everybody worked together.
Yeah, to me it will always be the youth coming together and growing as much as they do during the week. But yeah, collaborating with great people is always nice.
For me, I guess it was just seeing it kind of finally coming together at the end of the week, and finally all participants coming together at the end of the week with an exhibition that actually made a lot of sense to them and that felt very meaningful to everyone involved. And I must say also the fact of having 5 Ukrainians just running around being teenagers in this day and age was fantastic.
I think it's easy maybe to look at some of the images and think they've just taken an image, but then when you maybe think a little bit more about the context, about where we are, above the Arctic Circle, but it's been an extremely warm week, but then also it's like the political element as well. And even though it's easy to think we're in the northern Arctic, kind of separate from the world, it's like we aren't. We're all connected, and it's that fluidity of borders and boundaries. There's some concerns which are shared amongst people and cultures.